Yeah, hold it down. And you better not let nobody foul you out. And you better not let nobody stamp you out. Hold it down. Hold it down. And you better not let nobody foul you out. Welcome to the Hold It Down podcast show. We gonna talk about the Black Queens and how one is standing up for her motherhood, womanhood. I'm kind of happy that they talking about it because it need to be talked about. But we're gonna talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how they got the power to even say that about a natural black woman. Let's get into it.
What I mean when the transphobia just comes out.
My thing is, how can a trans woman tell a natural woman that? That right there alone, like, what? You don't even got periods. You don't even squirt. But you telling, you made a video about natural women. But black women, you also got to take half of the blame in this too. Y'all help them get to power to where they can have the audacity to even say that. Like the same person saying this came out of a black woman. Yeah, I made videos about black women and their behavior, but I can also make one about uplifting them too, especially with just hilarious basically stood up, took a stand. And I'm also looking the put it like this, the world is looking at you now, black woman, the natural black woman. Here go the ultimate attention. And we watching. Who else gonna stand up? This shit is crazy. A transsexual woman is telling a natural woman what the fuck belong to them. Y'all see that shit? Who's oppressing who? And ain't straight black man now, is he? Trans woman say womanhood and periods doesn't belong to biological women. Y'all help them and encourage them to even say this shit come out, even to even say the shit of what this transsexual said coming out of her mouth. Y'all help them with that. I ain't gonna beat you up too bad, but the whole truth got to get called out too. And us straight black men, trying to warn y'all, but nah, I ain't listening to no nigga. Well, I bet your ass gonna listen now. To tell you the truth, just hilarious with the division. Nobody. Y'all on y'all own on this one. We want to see that black woman strength come out. Oh, they ain't gonna lay no hands on y'all. But all that mouth y'all got from straight black men who ain't taking no credit away from y'all being a natural woman, yeah, we gonna sit this one out. Y'all gotta speak up for y'all. The white women did it. They did it so much that they got some laws changed where trans basically non biological women can't compete in a sports. But see, y'all get y'all hair and makeup done by them. Time to boycott. And if the sisterhood ain't biological sisterhood ain't behind just hilarious on this one, y'all showing the whole world y'all weak. Y'all won't even fight for y'all natural rights. This video went viral. Now you got some women making videos about it, but th- those don't really count. We talking about the celebrities that all the women look up to. Where y'all's at? Where y'all videos at? Don't try to congratulate her and be like, yeah, I'm with you behind closed doors. Nah, she took a risk, put everything on the line. And I bet you she might got a lot of support from white women, biological white women. And just hilarious. This is y'all fight. Some dirty secrets might come out too. Be prepared for that too. And just don't sweep this shit under the rug, then come back to start bashing on black men, straight black men, because we ain't the one basically saying periods don't belong to y'all. Y'all are calling y'all cis women. A transsexual is calling a biological woman a cis woman. So they renamed y'all. That's wild. And I know that shit been sitting on your head for a minute because you just had to say something like, man, what the hell? I bet you had those what the hell moments. What the fuck? What? They don't even have periods. Natural periods. Man, this shit gonna hey. facts on some of that shit she just said. That's wild to even see, like, a transgender that was born from a black woman. That that's how crazy this shit sound. A trans woman basically telling his mama, womanhood don't belong to you. Periods don't belong to you. That's wow. But y'all did help them get up to power and get the enough confidence, enough up to even say that shit with confidence and conviction. Like they believe this shit. Y'all gotta tear it down. This is God in a spiritual way. This is God calling out to y'all one last time before shit get real ugly. That's the knock. And the Bible said Jesus gonna come knock. You getting that knock. That video is that knock. Y'all was meant to see that. She was meant to stand up like that. And she a comedian. Calling sisterhood on aisle 7. Calling the sisterhood on aisle 7. One of your own is under attack. And we know how strong y'all are. But y'all bet not dare put black men in this shit. We try to tell y'all. Now it's here. And she right. It's gonna be an artificial one. It will never be the natural. It will never be natural. But let's take a look back into why they done trick some of y'all out of y'all natural role.
What up, African World? It's Home Team here, and I'm back at it with another video of African history, culture, and worldview. And today, I wanted to speak about the greatest queen in African history, Queen Amanirenas. And as always, if you want to support the Home Team, you can do so on patreon.com. I have some new rewards for you guys, so be sure to check that out. Also, go to afrographics.com, a website where you can find you.
Y'all go follow Home Team History. It's a lot of black queens they ain't never tell us about. They only told us about Cleopatra. Compared to these other queens, these queens made Cleopatra look like she was made up. But we're gonna do our true history on her too.
Unique illustrative infographics summarizing African history. All links to Patreon, Afrographics, and Home Team merchandise are in the description box below. I personally found it strange that we in the diaspora never really spoke much about Queen Amanirenas. I can understand why popular culture may not, but within our own circles, it would seem as though she would come up more frequently. She tends to be overshadowed by more popular queens from the continent, such as Nefertiti, Hatshepsut, or unfortunately, Cleopatra. Our own communities do a little better with focusing on other queens like Queen Nzinga or even Queen Tai, but given the grand accomplishment of Queen Amanirenas, I thought she would be more recognized.
I like Queen Ty too. Her story. I think black women that want to keep their natural essence, y'all need to reach back. Y'all must reach back into ancient history. Nothing in pop culture, not those women, these queens. And you're going to see why they want y'all to look like whores instead of warriors and control your emotions.
And as the title of this video suggests, I believe she's the greatest queen from the African continent. Not only that, but I also think she's one of the greatest queens in world history altogether. I even created an animated video summing up her story because it's one of the most triumphant stories of an African queen, and it's something that we should be highlighting much more. In my view, she definitely deserves the shine that other African queens get, and I really think it's a shame she doesn't. The closest thing I could think of concerning any sort of significant recognition of Queen Amanirenas in popular culture perhaps comes from Will Packer and his supposed future production of her story. The film, called Warrior Queen, was apparently acquired by Universal Studios.
And it wasn't even that movie wasn't even about her. It was about the slave trade again. That's all it was about. But back to her though.
And if this is true, that would be pretty big considering not many people in the diaspora know this history. Now, I have my own speculations as to why Queen Amanirenas may not be as well known as other African queens, but I'll let you guys come to your own conclusions. To put things in proper perspective, we have to understand the region in which she came from and why her legacy is so important. Queen Amanirenas was a Kushite queen from Meroe. After the fall of the Kushite Empire, or 25th dynasty of Egypt, the Kushites moved their capital to Meroe. Meroe then became a lot more popular due to the ancient world talking about the warrior queens of Kush, queens who literally participated in battle. Queen Amanirenas is important because she descends from a long line of women warriors, and she no doubt pulled from that.
Y'all see how why y'all want to know why these bricks look like that? Like they high in her chest and her face. It's all that's like a and a weapon. I just peeped that. It's a sign of disrespect. That's what they do with the other statues when they got the nose, especially the nose, sometimes the ears and the eyes. But yeah, this is a sign of disrespect and trying to hide the true identity of this figure right here. But you see the hips though, so they didn't hide a lot of it, and that's the one of the reasons why God designed a natural woman differently.
Energy to become the greatest queen in Africa. It was because of the Nubian queens that came before her why she was able to do what she did. So, who is Queen Amanirenas, and why do I think she is the greatest African queen on the continent? Queen Amanirenas came to the throne around 20 BC, and she's among the most accomplished queens of Kush because of her role leading Kushite armies against the Romans in a war that lasted about 5 years. The Romans, under Petronius, apparently wanted to tax Nubians living in Egypt, which she naturally opposed. The Romans at the time controlled Egypt, and Petronius wanted to challenge Kush and make them a sort of vassal state. Queen Amanirenas initially waged a successful campaign against the Romans in Egypt, even taking the head of a statue in the form of Augustus and burying it under her temple so her people can symbolically trample over Rome. Petronius, of course, struck back and drove the Kushites southward. 2 years later, Queen Amanirenas gathered a large Kushite force and met the Romans. The Romans, however, encountered many difficulties.
This is what they tricked you out of, black woman. Do y'all got a ability to do that now? It's there. Once y'all get out your fantasy land and start listening to our voices again, the ones who ain't trying to fuck you, using manipulation with it, the ones who really want to go to war.
Navigating the Nubian region and saw fit not to engage further, and thus a final battle never actually occurred. The Kushite perspective is unclear as we can't decipher the Nubian Meroitic text, but it's clear that the Romans did not engage further south and strategically withdrew. Queen Amanirenas is remembered by the Romans as being brave and blind in one eye due to her literal participation in battle.
I know y'all keep hearing the word Kush, and in my mind, if we was gonna do another Black Community 2.0, the Kush Kingdom is where it should start at. The resurrection of it. And where the Kingdom of Kush is at now, the name just changed to Sudan, North and South. That's all. But it's right there, right next to Ethiopia and Somalia. Kush, I believe, will unite all of Africa. All of Africa. Yo, that's what I believe. Do we got some kinks to iron out? Hell yeah. But the spark is what just hilarious is going through right now. And yeah, they is gonna try to kill that because we can't let them see a repeated history of the video of what we see now.
Under her rule, Kush secured its borders away from Roman ambition. A wall painting in a pyramid chapel of Meroe portrays Amanirenas with bows, arrows, and spears, holding by one hand a tethered group of 7 captives. And this is why I consider Queen Amanirenas to be the greatest queen in African history. There was no other queen in Africa who took on such a great threat, going on to safeguard the integrity of their state. She accomplished her objective in protecting her people by maintaining their independence. What greater objective is there for any monarch? The Kushites and the Romans eventually signed a treaty, and in this treaty, The Kushites got everything they wanted, including having the resented tax revoked. Her presence on the battlefield was documented by eyewitnesses as she's described in Strabo's.
I wonder what made her sign that treaty. I wonder if know if it was on their side. Because I think she could have wiped them all the way out. They don't talk about her because she was a motherfucking warrior. She outsmarted them. A black woman? What? And not no harlot black woman.
Account as having a scarred eye or blinded eye, as mentioned before. Her bravery and composure in conflict with Rome is absolutely legendary, as she halted potential Roman ambition in the region. According to legend, Kushite ambassadors in their diplomatic dialogue with the Romans are quoted as bringing a message from the queen. One of the Kushite envoys gallantly presented the Romans a beautiful bundle of golden arrows and said the following words: "This gift is from the Candace. If you want peace, this is a token of her warmth and friendship. If you want war, keep the arrows, because you are going to need them."
What the hell? Hey, that's why black women, why this so-called white man is buttering up to your ass. See, back then, you didn't have to worry about smoking weed, cocaine, meth, crack. You has to be focused to even command a motherfucking kingdom like Kush. Oh, we're gonna get into Kingdom of Kush too, who which I think is the black community 2.0. Yeah, you heard it first. You heard it here. The Kush Kingdom will and can unite all Africa, all of Africa. Once this bullshit between American blacks and Africa blacks beef stop. That's also another motherfucking trap to keep us divided. Foundation Black Americans. Get out of here.
It's clear that Queen Amanirenas did not appear before the Romans as a beaten foe because of the aggressive message she brought to them. That has to be one of the most epic responses in world history, especially considering who the message was directed toward, arguably the most powerful military on earth at the time. Her leadership, guidance, determination, and grit is second to none when it comes to African queens. And given all that history, I find it odd that her name doesn't roll off our tongue like other African queens. Hopefully, someday that'll change.
To tell you the truth, because it's too long to say. Amanirenas. 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 I think I'm saying it right.
Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help out in its continued production, please consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.
Remember your ancestors. Let's look at Top 13 most powerful queens in Africa history. It's got 1 million views 3 years ago. This is why this is what history, the true history of why a lot of y'all black women are lost. They keep giving you and teaching you Cleopatra like she was the only one. Nah, you got some that was way powerful than her.
Hi, I'm Kevin Roach. I'm a professor here at CSC.
I think a lot of y'all black women know, but you're using it against the wrong people. You know exactly where the oppressor's coming from, but your hatred towards the black man of who's down low, all that bullshit is more greater than the fight that's right in front of your damn face. The fight, and that war is trans women telling y'all don't own the period. Y'all don't own womanhood. So who the fuck own it then? He telling his own mama, aunts, and nieces, nieces and little cousins, female cousins. Y'all don't own the period, the natural period. This shit crazy.
Throughout African history, women have held positions of leadership, whether they were queens or chiefs. History. Call them whatever you like: boss ladies, feminists, women rights activists, dictators. These African queens and warriors led men to war, ruled kingdoms, and called the shots. Some even resisted European domination and colonialism. In this video, in no particular order, we bring to your view the top 13 most powerful queens in ancient Africa. In 1828, Rana Valona I became the sovereign ruler of the Kingdom of Madagascar. She ruled for 33 years. After positioning herself as queen following the death of her young husband and second cousin Radama I, the queen pursued a policy of isolationism and self-sufficiency. She reduced economic and political ties with European powers, repelling a French attack on the coastal town of Foul Point. In 1832, Rana Valona forbade the practice of Christianity among the Malagasy population, and within a year, nearly all foreigners had left her territory. On August 16, 1861, the queen died in her sleep. 12,000 zebu were slaughtered and their meat distributed to the population in her honor, with the official mourning period lasting 9 months. Although Rana Valona has been traditionally depicted as a cruel tyrant, modern historians view her as an astute politician who effectively protected the political and cultural sovereignty of her nation from European encroachment. Foremost of noble women, that's the meaning of her name. Hatshepsut was a female pharaoh of Egypt. She reigned between 1473 and 1458 BC. Her rule was relatively peaceful, and she was able to launch a building program that would see the construction of a great temple at Luxor. She also launched a successful sea voyage to the land of Punt, a place located somewhere.
You hear that? All the shit I hear. This is what I hear. accountability, and responsibility out of all these queens. Y'all hearing about how much she ruled. I hear accountability, accountability, and responsibility. And focus. And marry.
Where in the northeast coast of Africa, present day Eritrea and Ethiopia. The fact that a woman became pharaoh of Egypt was very unusual, but Hatshepsut ruled as pharaoh rather than wielding power as the great wife of a male king. Initially, Hatshepsut was to serve as a regent. She did this for 3 years, until for reasons unknown, she became a pharaoh in her own right. She took on a full throne name, and statues were created depicting her as a male king right down to the beard. Soon after her death in 1457 BC, Hatshepsut's monuments were attacked, her statues dragged down and smashed, and her image and titles defaced. Although Hatshepsut was given a befitting burial in the Valley of the Kings, her memory was not honored. Queen Amina, according to the Kano Chronicles, was born around the year 1533 when her mother, Queen Bakwa Turunku, reigned in Zaria, then known as Zazao. Zaria is now a major city in present-day Kaduna State, northern Nigeria. Amina's family was very rich as a result of trade in imported metals, kola, cloth, salt, and horses. As a result, Amina was able to perfect her military skills with the warrior of the Zazao cavalry as a young woman. Her dexterity and aristocracy eventually led her to emerge as leader of the Zazao cavalry, during which she acquired great wealth and numerous military honors. By the time Amina was to assume the throne of Zazao, she had matured into a fierce warrior, which earned her the respect of the kingdom's military. It will be pertinent to note that during Amina's time, men did not feel threatened when women ruled or were in power and influential positions. It was a general belief among the Hausa people that anyone could be in a position of authority, regardless of gender. In fact, women could oust men who were not effective in their duties. When Amina was queen, Zazao was located at the junction of three major trade corridors of northern Africa, connecting the Sahara with the internal markets of forest lands in the south. The fall of Songhai and the resulting opposition for the control of trade routes among the powerful kingdoms incited continual warring among the Hausa people and their neighbors during the 15th and 16th centuries. In this continued strife for power and eminence among the Hausa state, Zaria for a time achieved dominance under Amina. The queen led her first military charge a few months after assuming the Zazao throne. For most of her 34 years' reign, Amina kept fighting while expanding her kingdom to its greatest in history. With an army of 20,000 men, the Hausa queen tried to annex several surrounding cities up to Nupe and conquered Kanu and Katsina. The expansion of Amina's kingdom guaranteed Zaria's prosperity, and she brought wealth that were unheard of to the kingdom. She boosted Hazazel's wealth and power with gold, slaves, and agriculture. She also introduced metal armor, including iron helmets and chainmail, to her cavalry. To protect Zazao, Amina built many fortifications around various conquered cities. Many of these walls are still existing to this day.
See, that's why they want y'all to act like whores and all that shit. But once again, This is what they think about you. This will be the same trans who will say women are oppressed if a black man go to a biological black woman and say submit. Think about that for a minute. They'll be up in arms and shit. But who you thought was your friend is now your enemy. And the world look at black women. They ain't gonna look down on us and shame us because we try to tell you. Y'all claim y'all strong, independent black queens. Here go a trans woman who wanna be like y'all, telling y'all don't own periods. Y'all don't own womanhood. Sound like they trying to oppress y'all to me. Who's the real oppressor? Is it the white man? Huh? You can't blame it on nobody white this time. But this is what they think. Made up another elementary name to call a natural woman, a sus woman. That tranny is only comfortable talking like that because natural women gave them power. Time to cut the water. Take y'all power back. Black women, it's really your fight. This is a black trans woman saying this. This ain't. They basically saying y'all don't own y'all womb. They disrespecting y'all womb that God gave y'all. If they could disrespect y'all, they already disrespecting God. God gave y'all that womb. And a trans woman who wanna be a natural woman. Th- Just think about that. A trans woman dissing a natural woman, but wanna be a natural woman. Yeah, I'm rocking with you. Just hilarious on this one. Yeah, I make my videos about black women. Yeah, but I also know when shit gets real, shit gets real. I can make a video about uplifting them too, like I'm doing now. But I gotta do say this, just hilarious. Y'all help with the delusion though. Y'all was even bashing straight black men for not accepting them as real women. We gotta talk about that too. But I hope this don't get swept under the rug, cause they gonna keep coming. Now they got her going against T.S. Madison. Like really? So what y'all gonna try to reprogram her, re oppress her? That's what's gonna happen. And if she don't get in line, what y'all gonna do? Get her canceled, not book no more shows, trying to cancel her money, start talking about her son and how she a single mother. Is that what's gonna happen? A natural woman standing up for herself, a natural black woman who got periods and don't need no shot and pill to make it happen or no surgery. Okay. Yeah, they bleed for 7 days, dog. I mean, you can't take that away from them. But it's a shot at y'all and God. That's all it is. But God knocking. That's the knock on the door. They disrespecting y'all womb. Put some respect on they womb. A trans woman who came was where are the videos of saying yo mama black? So you disrespecting your mama and your sisters? Where are those videos at? Well, let me go and look. She said that with conviction. I felt her when she said, "You would never, ever, ever." I felt the frustration leaving her body of this bullshit. I seen that shit. Let, but let's see what other women on YouTube got to say about it.
Grand Rising. I'm sorry. To be mentally insane. What's the only difference is you don't have a straitjacket on. Stop talking out your face. Wake up. How are you projecting your anger on real women? Because we are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers for periods. We're the only one that can bleed, honey. We're the only ones that can give birth. We make y'all people. We make y'all. Y'all come from us. You can't be us. You will never. You're chasing something you'll never, ever get. You'll never be that. Who the fuck stands up for us? And us, I mean women, real women, biological women, women who were born with all the parts that you guys wish that you were. When does the delusion stop? What is the difference between you and
This is my comeback. Start yours at purdueglobal.edu.
With over 45 years serving the injured in Ohio and Kentucky, our reputation has been earned one person at a time. O'Connor, Achani, and Levy, your legal team.
Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. I do apologize. I had to.
I done found some. Let's see what Real Talk with. Ooh, what's her name? Yanni. See what she got to say. Then I'm gonna read her comments section.
To make me some tea. I thought I already warmed up my water, but I didn't. I'm sorry. So, what does it say? It says, healthy never tasted so good. So let me wait to see who's all going to get in here. This is going to stay up. It's not going to be taken down. Let me go ahead and get into my intro, and then I'll be back to start this conversation.
Hey boos, in this video, I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. I haven't done anything for you to be proud of. Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
mentally insane? What's the
This is why I be pulling stuff off the internet, because this is just, you're doing too much. Okay, let me go back.
Who the fuck stands up for us? And us,
Now, I ain't see this what T.S. Madison said. It say T.S. Madison confirms her tweet about real women being mistaken for trans was in response to just hilarious, saying trans women are delusional. It will never be women. There are so many real women that get mistaken for being transgender women, and that's where a lot of the anger comes from. I do hope they take a good look at how transphobia affects all women. Black men been saying this shit for the longest, man. That ain't really what it's about. T.S. Madison trying to flip it to black men when she said this shit. No, it's about how trans women trying to take control of the natural birth of black women. That's what it's about. Saying they don't own periods. They don't own womanhood. Y'all sus women. Y'all gave them that name. It's a disrespectful fucking name to them. She just speaking out about it. And congratulate her for standing up and speaking on it. Cause this time, this ain't straight black men coming at their heads. So T.S. Madison trying to flip it on us though. There are so many real women that get mistaken for being transgender women, and that's where a lot of that anger comes from. I do hope they take a good look at how transphobia affects all women. She ain't transphobia, bruh. She felt disrespected by that comment. Even if that tranny say sorry, fuck that. It's time for straight black women. Stop taking everybody sorries. Stop having people looking at y'all like y'all a victim. And get back to your warrior queen of the ancient times. It's time to channel into those spirits and those frequencies. It's calling. It's calling. They speaking through Just Hilarious. Since a lot of y'all, I know a lot of black women are spiritual. The ancestors are speaking through Just Hilarious. I hope y'all listening.
I mean women, real women, biological women, women who were born with all the parts that you guys wish that you were. When does the delusion stop? What is the difference between you and someone who has been diagnosed to be mentally insane? What's the only difference is you don't have a straitjacket on.
Hold on. As Whack 100 say, the truth can never be considered disrespect. Just Hilarious got all the rights to say what the fuck she's saying in this video. But black women, y'all have let them get away too long from calling themselves women. Now they trying to call y'all names out of y'all position, saying y'all sus women. So they gave y'all a name like they own y'all. The ancestors is calling.
Stop talking out your fucking ass. Wake up. How are you projecting your anger on real women? Because we are the gatekeepers. We are the gatekeepers for periods. We the only one that fucking bleed, honey. We the only ones that can give birth. We make y'all people. We make y'all. Y'all come from us. You can't be us. You will never. You're chasing something you'll never, ever.
You chasing something you will never ever get. Oh, there go Tasha K ass. I don't know what the fuck she got to say about it.
Say she's straight
You know, but here's what I'm gonna say. Yes, I've sent shots to Jess. Is Jess a woman? Jess is 100% a woman. Jess gets thrown shots. Oh, you masculine, you this, just like me. I'm short hair, she's long hair. Okay? Me and her go through the same things. And for some reason, when I see somebody like T.S. Madison or others like her, like Sydney Starr, and they want to say that we hate trans women because we get mistaken for being trans women. No, the fuck we don't. No, the fuck we don't. We don't get upset because we're mistaken for being trans women. The only reason there's a trans woman is because there are men wanting to be women. How the fuck we gonna get
Tasha K try to put it on black men, man. Man, I'm going to the next video. She a lame. It ain't even about. She trying to put it on men, but she ain't gonna separate gay men and straight men. She trying to put us all together. Nah, shorty. Let me read what they said in the comments. As a black trans male, I just want y'all to know that a lot of us don't condone what's happening either. Many of us just want to live our lives, don't shy away from what we were born as, and just appreciate those who respect us as humans. I just hope all this does create a blanket protective of trans people, because there's plenty of us who think this shit is ridiculous too. But y'all ain't calling. Where the videos are y'all calling this shit out at though? That's all. Where is the trans community that's sticking up, actually making videos, looking like y'all protecting Just Hilarious? Y'all ain't about to do that. I'm on Jess' side. It's not one day out of the year I'm intimidated or bothered by a trans woman. Nothing in me wants to be you. I am what you want to be. We are the blueprint. Facts. Yeah, I talk my shit about y'all, but this right here, I could fuck with y'all on this one, because I've been talking about this for a minute anyway. Y'all may not like TK, but she's 100% right. This shit needs to end now. Look, why it need to end? Why? So you could go back to bashing black men? Nah, it's a lot of trans people out here. There's an agenda getting pushed on your black woman, natural black woman. Y'all just now joining the fight. White women been out there going hard like that. It just took a celebrity to say it. It's crazy, but nah, don't sweep this shit under the rug, because all they gonna do is come back around again. They are y'all enemies. They don't like y'all, man. Y'all natural. I don't agree with everything, but Tasha's right on this one. Oh, that's TK. I don't like TK, but she 100%. Man, fuck out of here. No. I'm so glad women with a platform are speaking out. Women, let's put our differences to the side and stand in solitary. We under attack in all directions. Y'all been under attack when welfare was invented. As a black man, this is the first time I agree with this chick. I don't. 'Cause she's still trying to put it on black men. Straight black men. Nah.
Spectrum. that wants to be a part of the conversation respectfully. And I want to hear from men.
Transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods.
Man, that that wannabe woman really think they y'all. But y'all did help with the delusion, though. Y'all accepting them as women. What you thought was gonna happen? You thought they weren't gonna attack y'all? Yeah, the fuck right. They helped with the division between the straight black woman and the straight black men. Don't think the transgender community ain't a part of that. They showing y'all with the videos. That's why a lot of people want to hurry up and sweep it under the rug. Nah, hell nah. It needs to be taught. God knocking, your ancestors knocking, and I'm surprised a lot of black women, natural black women celebrity ain't rocking with her. Where the video? I'm looking, man. I'm looking.
You don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person. But as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello? This is what I mean when the transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods, you don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person. But as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello?
See, the first problem I have with this whole scenario is, first of all, you referring to me as a cis woman. That's for me, that's the biggest problem. Outside of everything else that you said, like it's like all of.
Let's see who else talking about it. She put out toxic man. I want some. Where's Lil Kim and all the people she look up to? Like, where's the real life sisterhood at? Where are all the black women who will go in quick as fuck on black men?
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Elizabeth and I'm back with another video. It's been so long since I've made a video, but I had to hop on here just to give my opinion on this topic. I know y'all been seeing the back and forth between the trans community, T.S. Madison, just hilarious. So I wanted to come on here and give my opinions on it. So this all started when a transgender went on TikTok. She went on a whole rant saying women, y'all don't own period, y'all don't own womanhood, so stop trying to gatekeep it. Let me play the video, then I'm gonna get my thoughts on it.
When the trans
Man, how the fuck they gonna stop gatekeeping some shit they was naturally born with? Shit crazy. But y'all gotta take accountability on this one too. Y'all help them push them to in the power enough and build up their confidence enough where they can say that shit. They going around, and I was just talking about this with a chick I gave a ride to. I said, look, the white women out there done got some laws changed. They done got the white transgenders out of their sports. 'Cause they got tired of competing with men. Now it's y'all turn. Why the white women ain't speaking up? Cause they already had theirs. Now it's y'all turn. But I hope it don't get swept under the rug, because all I know is if y'all go back to bashing straight black men, then it's over. This is y'all one of y'all last chance to unite the straight black community. We need to see debates.
Phobia just comes out, the audacity and just the arrogance for cis women to believe that they own periods, that they own womanhood. You don't. Okay, you don't own periods, you don't own womanhood. You experience both, and both are different for every person, but as a cis woman, it doesn't belong to you, so you can't gatekeep it. Like, hello?
At this point, like, I know that video was kind of triggering and was kind of like annoying, but I don't even think women should even be upset. Like, this is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird and disturbing. Like, if anything, I feel like we should kind of feel sorry for her, because are you that delusional?
See, that's the weak shit we talking about. You somehow trying to feel compassion about a group of people who don't feel no compassion about you at all. They hate your whole existence. I think we should feel sorry for them. Why? Because because it ain't a natural straight black man talking shit about y'all now. That video went viral. Y'all ready to sweep that shit under the rug. Like y'all ain't see what the fuck y'all just seen or heard. Y'all support them by getting y'all makeup and hair done by them. And that independent woman, I don't want them, or I don't need no black man. Y'all really, really, really don't want to get unified. Y'all rather stay over there with them who think y'all sus women anyway.
Delusional, like, I can't even be mad at, like, it's like arguing with like a mentally ill patient. Like, I'm not gonna argue with nobody about a period, especially a man. I'm not gonna argue with a biological man about periods.
Oh, see, they are not biological man though. They don't identify. Yeah, this is a weak one. They all trying to still put straight black men into this shit. Man, I'm going back to the ancient times to look at those queens. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna listen what else she got to say.
It's in womanhood. Yes, I do own womanhood. Yes, I do own periods. But it's just weird that, like, this is even a thing. Like, this is where society is now. Like, we're arguing with biological men about periods. Like, it's
Y'all helped pushed it. That ain't no biological man. Why she keep saying this? Cause she support the trans community. I bet you an ally. This that's this look how crazy this sound. All the people that straight and support and call themselves allies of the trans community, they calling y'all cis women and that y'all don't own womanhood and y'all don't own periods. It's just an experience that y'all have every month till the day y'all die. But you got this black woman still trying to put it on straight black men.
Kind of like it's really cringe at this point. Like men cannot get periods, men do not give birth. So why are we even having to like fight for that? I'm not even about to fight for that. Like simply.
Yeah, we know you ain't gonna fight because you weak. You a queen, but you ain't no warrior queen. You wanna call them biological men, but they're not. They don't identify themselves as that. But it ain't nothing but to get you to talk more shit about black men. That's all it is. We know the straight black dudes, we know a lot of y'all be having sex with them transgenders. Yeah, black women. Yeah, we know some of y'all are. That's why y'all want to talk shit about them. Cause the dirty secrets gonna come out. Man, I'm going back to man. Fuck it. I'm going back to the ancient times to look at these queens. She just made me mad.
Candace or Candake was a name given to any queen or empress of Ethiopia by the Europeans, and these great women were seen to be wives of the gods or the living god. Candace of 332 BC has a particular story that still stands tall today. Despite little knowledge of these queens, this legend made its way out. Her actual name was said to be Amanirenas. She was blind in one eye due to losing it in a battle with the Romans. And
Who else got a missing eye too? Odin. It's rumors that a lot of DC and Marvel comics are based off of African history. All of it. Not just the men, the women too.
was known to be a fierce, tactical, and uniting leader. A legend in the Alexander Romans claims that when King Alexander the Great attempted to conquer her land in 332 BC, she arranged her armies strategically to meet him and was present on a war elephant when he approached Ethiopia. Having assessed the strength of her armies, Alexander decided to withdraw from Nubia, heading to Egypt instead. This account originated from the Alexander Romans by an unknown writer. It is commonly quoted, but there seems to be no historical reference to this event from Alexander's time. The whole story of Alexander.
I just peeped something that transgender said. Hold on. That transgender said for women, it's almost like saying if women even go back buy tampons, you transphobic. Or they want to go buy tampons too. Even calling it's almost like even calling yourself a natural woman, it's transphobic. This is womanhood under attack. And I just got done watching a woman say, "Well, I ain't about to fight over no biological man about no woman having no period." And ain't biological man that's saying the shit. It's not even a trans woman. Man, I wish a trans woman that's going to a stud talking about something. You don't own the penis. It's just something you experience. Hell, not this. That shit is crazy, bruh. If you think about it, a woman that's trans over to a man gonna call you homophobic because you got a dick. They gonna try that shit. Man, they gonna get laughed out the motherfucking park. I guarantee you, they probably already tried it. Like, man, get your ass out of here. Man, this shit crazy. But yeah, black women, unnatural black women, y'all under attack. Right in front of y'all face. And just hilarious, the only one who stood up that people give a shit about. But where's the other one? Where's Janet Jackson? Where all them at? All you women who had kids. All your celebrity people. You ain't got nothing to say, huh?
Candace's encounter appears to be legendary. Ya Ashantewa was an influential Ashanti queen of the Ashanti Confederacy in present-day Ghana. She was a skilled farmer before ascending to the title of Queen Mother in the 1880s. It is believed
Man, did you just hear what the fuck she said? What kind of background she came from? A fucking farmer. She wasn't even born in royalty. See this shit again.
Ashanti Confederacy in present-day Ghana. She before ascending to the title of Queen Mother in the 1880s. It is believed that she was chosen for this title due to the matrilineal culture of the Ashanti people and that her elder brother,
The
Nana
people
Akwasi
chose.
Afrane Okpase, who was a powerful ruler at the time, appointed her to the role.
The people chose her. That's like she got stamped from the streets. Man, black women, y'all better fight for y'all womanhood. 'Cause this is what they trying to take away from y'all. Y'all call yourself a natural woman. Somehow that's transfer over to you a homophobe. But of course, a lot of them gonna say that's a biological man. But black men, straight black men, been saying this shit. Now, since it's an attack on y'all, now y'all want to acknowledge that this is a biological man now. Now, all of a sudden, oh, he ain't a trans woman no more. You see this shit? I'm calling out all that shit. And I'm uplifting at the same time because it's bullshit. Back to the story.
As a queen mother, Ashantewa held many responsibilities, including being the gatekeeper of the golden stool. Additionally, since the queen mother is the main advisor for the king and thus is the second highest position within the empire, she fulfills
The queen was the main advisor to the king. But you can't say that in 2023. This is ancient times where it wasn't no crack, it wasn't no alcohol, it wasn't no marijuana. So they mental, it wasn't no TV, internet. So they motherfucking mental wasn't fucked up. They ate healthy. That's why she was, and he trusted her, and she earned that shit.
the role of guarding the golden stool. In 1896, the Ashanti began to rebel against the British presence in their land and the British attempt to construct the Gold Coast colony. To retaliate, the British captured and exiled Ashantene Prempeh I, king of the Ashanti, and Ashantewa's grandson Kofi Tene, who was also a powerful ruler. The British removed the king and other Ashanti leaders to the Seychelles Island in an effort to acquire the golden stool, while the remaining leaders within the community debated on how best to respond to the British threat. Ashantewa held her ground and rallied troops. Her leadership and passion led to her role as commander-in-chief of the Ashanti.
Y'all black women, y'all better go to the ancient times, bro. You heard what it said. You heard what she said. The African who's telling the story on Historyville channel. Go follow that. She stood her ground. Y'all better stand y'all ground. They gonna keep calling y'all sis woman. It's gonna take more than just hilarious. This was just a little try, a little more push. Y'all was letting the other shit slide, but when she said when that trans said y'all don't own periods, y'all don't own womanhood. Guess what? Us black men look doing. You hear that shit? I know you ain't too much in the fantasy land that you ain't hear what the fuck just was said. You hear it, huh? It's time to go to war.
Army. In turn, the Anglo-Ashanti Wars against the British became known as the Ya-Ashantewa War of Independence or the War of the Golden Stool in 1900. To inspire the leaders of the community, Ashantewa proclaimed that if the men of the kingdom would not defend the people, the women would rise to the challenge. Her action invigorated the men and challenged traditional gender roles. She led a rebellion and became an image of strength and resistance. Unfortunately, she was captured during the rebellion and exiled to Seychelles, where she died in 1921. Ya Ashantewa is credited as the last woman to ever lead a major rebellion against European colonialists. Ahebi Ugabe was a prostitute who became the only female king in colonial Nigeria in the mid-1920s. Ahebi was born at Enugu Ezike, present-day eastern Nigeria, around.
So this queen right here was a prostitute. See, what I just looking at this channel is coming from all angles of walks of life of back then. She was a prostitute, but she rose up to be a queen. So that means she gave up prostitution, her sexual liberation, and took on responsibility and accountability. See, they think that a lot of these groups got black women thinking that being not having accountability and responsibility is some boring bullshit. You getting trained that for a reason. Y'all gotta go back to the ancient times to recharge. Since a lot of y'all like electrolytes and spiritual, it's time to go back to the ancient times and recharge. The ancestors, they knocking, they speaking. Just hilarious. It's just the start of it. I hope she keep going. I hope she don't buckle. Like, nah, she stand on what she stand on. What y'all gonna say she homophobe for that? Even though y'all calling them sus women, disrespecting them? A natural woman who, if your mother could have aborted you, you couldn't even say that. Like, man, what the fuck?
The year 1880. When she was 13, she traveled to Igala land in search of work but couldn't get one. In the process, she resorted to become an autonomous sex worker and used it to her advantage, learning to speak diverse languages. In addition to her Igbo tongue, Ahebi could speak Igala, Nupe, and Pidgin English. With the money she made from prostitution, Ahebi Ugabe then ventured into business, which solidified her as a successful foreigner in Igala. She traded in palm oil and horses.
Man, this shit's scary. When she talking about this queen right here, because it's almost her story almost resonate to today. And I can't even say her name. Oh man. I want to if I could, I'd tattoo every last one of their faces on me. Like have one sleeve. Like this is what they tricking you out of, black women. We know. The black men know. But y'all too motherfucking angry to even see that we ain't the motherfucking enemy.
And was one of the most influential horse traders in the Igala Igbo land borders. Around the year 1918, Ahebi Ugabe returned home. As a polyglot, it gave her
If she said 1918, that means this queen was wasn't far too long in history, and they never talked about her. They, you and in public schools, you would never get this history ever. See, the internet is kind of good too because a lot of these books and histories, if you can't speak the language of where these queens come from, you would never know in English. Let's say like 20 years ago, nah, the internet wasn't even popping like that. Shit, I could go back 30 years ago. Now I'm gonna go back 25. Nah, you couldn't even find these queens in the book unless you was living over in Africa and you knowing their language.
an undue advantage and the ability to lead the united people of Igala and Nupe to her homeland. In fact, she was the only one in her village who could communicate with the British colonialist, playing a mediator or spokesperson role between the white man and her people.
So she learned how to speak English by selling herself to the white man. Well, she did that to all language for real. She taught herself how to survive, even though she had to give up her sex, her pussy to do it. But when she was made queen, all that shit stopped. She already went through training. She just did it a different way. She did it a sexual way.
When Ahebi Ugabe returned to her village, she was able to displace Ogu Okegu, the man the British had put as a village headman. A headman in the British colonial system in eastern Nigeria was to govern the village under the supervision of.
But I know this though. This trans woman who said that about biological woman, they'll never have a chance of ancient history because there wasn't no transsexual woman. That type of lifestyle wasn't even in none of those kingdoms. I ain't gonna say they never existed, but we can always look into that history too.
What I mean when the transphobia just comes out, the audacity and just the
Said y'all was arrogant while she talking arrogant. While that trans woman talking arrogant. They want to be able to own womanhood and periods, though. Not you, the natural one. Not you. You don't, nah, We do. Even though it's not natural, but we own it. Who's oppressing you, black woman? You got a choice to make. Either stay in fantasy land, take the blue pill, stay in fantasy land and wake up like nothing never happened, or take the red pill and you can see how far the rabbit hole goes. And a lot of y'all already took the red pill quietly. This is a wake up call. That video is a wake up call. From your ancestors, God, and your ancestors. It's a wake up call. The delusion stop once y'all stop accepting them as women. Y'all got that power. Oh, we secretly, the straight men, oh, we secretly rocking with natural black women that's standing up for you. We watching. The world watching. You got your center stage. The division that they helped cause, they helped you burn all your bridges. But nah, all you got to do is go back to the ancient histories of black women like this. Bam. That's all y'all got to do. Right there. You got to go back. You got to recharge. If you ain't going, you ain't going, you ain't going to be able to elevate without going back there. Because you know what you got to get rid of, your independence. You got to get rid of that crown. Because none of these queens, they wasn't independent. That word wasn't even invented for a black woman to have. Because these black queens thought about everybody. And everybody thought about her.
A divisional officer who was usually British. This system of government was unpopular among the locals, and the headman was usually ceremonial. However, Ahebi's rise would change everything. Therefore, barely months after returning from exile in 1918, the British appointed Ahebi as a warrant chief, the only woman in colonial Nigeria to be appointed thus. It was permissible to the colonialists because Ahebi had helped them in conquering her village. As expected, the male chiefs resisted Ahebi's appointed thus. This system of government was unpopular among the locals, and the headman was usually ceremonial. However, Ahebi's rise would change everything. Therefore, barely months after returning from exile in 1918, The British appointed Ahebi as a warrant chief, the only woman in colonial Nigeria to be appointed thus. It was permissible to the colonialists because Ahebi had helped them in conquering her village. As expected, the male chiefs resisted Ahebi's appointment, especially as she was a woman, but their dissent voices were subdued because of the British support for Ahebi. As a result, to consolidate her power, she alienated them from the affairs of state. As it was anomalous for a woman to be king in Igbo land, Ahebi traveled to Igala, where she held her coronation. She was crowned by the Ata of Igala amidst great celebrations. For a woman to be king was not strange to the Igala people, as they had once had a woman as king around the 1500s. So, the Igala people honored the new king and sang many songs enhancing Ahebi's kingly qualities. They did this for days. When entrenched in her reign, Ahebi became autocratic, and with time, many of the people became sick and tired of her rule. They also condemned her sacrilegious ways, where she refused to consult with the chiefs, received bribes, and took other men's wives by force. However,
I know I know I hear what the hell I just heard.
they did this for days. When entrenched in her reign, Ahebi became autocratic, and with time, many of the people became sick and tired of her rule. They also condemned her sacrilegious ways, where she refused to consult with the chiefs, received bribes, and took other men's wives by force. However, she remained king till she died in 1948. Her respect and honor.
Nah, y'all don't be like her. She she basically got bored and start fucking with her own little team and shit, village. Like she said, she done took niggas' wives, bruh. Like damn. So she done got sexed out of dick. Damn. But she was also taking bribes too, so that means she sold out. She sold out to them riches. Nah, y'all skip that queen.
Had dissipated compared to the early years of her reign. With the fear that her people might not accord her a rightful burial, she performed her own funeral rites in 1946, 2 years before her death.
The drone age has begun in the large-scale military online action game, War.
Angola's Queen Nzinga is one of Africa's most celebrated women rulers who resisted European colonialization. Nzinga Mbande waged a war.
And Zinga, yeah, that's a queen you should follow. Well, let me keep my mouth shut, cause she might come out to be fucked up at the end too.
War against the Portuguese in Angola for 4 decades, from the 1620s to the 1660s. Nzinga's capacity as a negotiator and military strategist remains unchallenged. She was directly responsible for reducing the Portuguese colony in Luanda, present-day Angola, to a few square miles. Nzinga had 3 main policy objectives. 1. She wanted to stop the conflict between the Portuguese and her people, which destroyed the plateau of Luanda. 2. She wanted to obtain the diplomatic recognition granted to Congo from the Portuguese. And 3. She wanted Luanda and Europeans to develop a daily and profitable trading relationship. In the 1630s and 1640s, she forged an alliance with Dutch slave traders and used her wealth to consolidate her position. The queen also overcame traditional Mbande resistance to women in politics, employing Mbande runaway slaves and others as mercenaries against local resistance where necessary. After continuous war against the Portuguese, she concluded a treaty with them that largely fulfilled her initial goals, and her policy continued successfully until her death. Nzinga had been able to dominate Kimbundu politics for 40 years through her clever manipulations of the Portuguese and in Bangala. Her legacy, if conflicting, is enormous. First, she was a monarch who was able to inspire her people to resist the Europeans. Second, she had exceptional energy, and her position as a warrior and an anti colonialist is an excellent example of African women's dedication to self reliance and survival values. Nzinga was able to maintain peace until her death at about 81 years. She died a Catholic, and the missionary advisors she had cherished in the last 8 years of her life surrounded her deathbed. In 960 BC, the nation that is now called Ethiopia came back upon the center of the stage of history. Ethiopia was then represented by a
I like this one. See, I'm 29% Nigerian, and Mao, all where all the slaves were sold into slavery, where the warriors that was sold into slavery, but my other half is Ethiopian.
queen who in some books is referred to as Makeba. She is better known to the world as the Queen of Sheba. Makeba, according to legend, is the mysterious and majestic Queen of Sheba and the
Which she was Cush. See, all these queens bloodline connect to Cush, the more powerful kingdom, more powerful than Egypt. But they was one and the same. They was the same people. Egypt and Kingdom of Cush are the same people, just like Ethiopians and Somalians. Colonizers always divide shit up by giving another different group of people more than the other one, and that keeps them fighting to keep them out of what the fuck you doing here. That sneaky shit.
beloved of King Solomon of Judea. However, according to the Old Testament of the Holy Bible, she is portrayed as a chaste and unnamed queen of the land of Sheba, who heard of the great wisdom of King Solomon of Israel and journeyed there with gifts of spices, gold, precious stone, and beautiful wood, and to test him with hard questions. The queen was awed by Solomon's great wisdom and wealth and pronounced a blessing on Solomon's deity. Solomon reciprocated with gifts and everything she desired as the queen returned to her country. Makeba was apparently quite rich as she brought 4.5 tons of gold with her to give to Solomon, a sign of great power and wealth. Makeba was a beautiful, powerful black.
Damn. She gave him 5 tons of gold, bruh. Man, my car is 3 tons. She gave him 5 tons of gold. Like it wasn't nothing. Like, here you go. Here go 5 tons of gold. Damn, how much gold do you got?
Woman, and out of love converted to Judaism. It was reported that she and Solomon both had a son, Menelik I, who would become the first emperor of Ethiopia and establish the Solomonic dynasty.
See, black woman, y'all womb is much more precious than what y'all think it is. This queen right here, she converted to Judaism because she was in love with King Solomon, a black man. Who helped pass on the bloodline of his, who gave me 5 tons of gold. And she emerged his kingdom, her kingdom, with his through marriage and the bloodline. But you got videos like this though. Hold on.
What I mean when
For that trans woman to even say that about natural born black women, they disrespecting their ancestors too. God knocking, the ancestors knocking. It was so disrespectful that just hilarious. They talk to just hilarious. Like, hold the hell the fuck on. You saying we don't own periods or the womanhood? Straight women? She was okay. She shouldn't have been okay to even allow them to call y'all sus woman. But you see how when you give a little, they keep going and going and going and going. They disrespecting the ancestors, man. They disrespecting Harriet Tubman, Coretta Scott King, Angela Mayu, Oprah Winfrey, Rihanna, your damn self. Man, shit crazy. They trying to tell y'all about y'all periods experience. But somehow a lot of black women trying to put it on straight black men. This is a biological man. Oh, where was that biological ass shit when black men would say, "Nuh-uh, you are trans," and we got bashed for it, for standing up for y'all. Now it's y'all turn to stand up for y'all. The world's watching, God watching. Only thing I don't like what's going on about this whole shit. they scared to call them trans women or wannabes. She's still showing a lot of them respect because a lot of them didn't say that, but a lot of them say it's stupid, but y'all not making no videos about it neither. Man, but I remember black men was also saying, no, you're not a biological woman. And who was right beside their side? The black woman was calling us homophobe too. Now the table is turned.
Queen Yargoje of Zamfara in present-day northwest Nigeria reigned for 40 years from 1310 to 1350. She expanded and relocated the capital of the kingdom from Dusi to a more strategically defendable area at Kuyambana. Yargoje was the first daughter of Daka, the fifth king of Zamfara. She was not only queen, she was also head of the Buri cult, which was a pre-Islamic mode of worship in parts of Hausa land. During her reign, there were female chiefs appointed for the first time in the kingdom. The queen surrounded herself with such female chiefs who were not known before the time of her reign. Interestingly, her reign was long and peaceful. In fact, it was a prosperous era.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up,
In the accomplishments of Queen Poku, an Ashanti ruler of the Baole people in the first half of the 18th century, presents certain problems because her life was chronicled primarily through oral history. In recent years, however, scholars have combined African oral tradition with written European accounts to flesh out the details of the life of Poku with remarkable results. At the time of Poku's birth between 1700 and 1720, the Ashanti kingdom was still intact. She was born into royalty, the niece of the powerful Osei Tutu, the daughter of Nyaku Kosiamwa, who was either a sister or niece of the king. Since succession to the Ashanti throne was matrilineal, a mother's identity was more important than a father's, and the identity of Poku's father was not recorded. She herself was important to the succession since the royal heir was a child of the king's sister or his niece. When a new male heir succeeded to the throne, the queen mother shared power with her son. In 1718, Osei Tutu was ambushed and killed, and power over the Ashanti passed to Poku's brother, Dakon. During his reign, which lasted for almost 2 decades, Poku chose a husband according to the privilege of her rank. Much to her regret, however, since she was in line to produce the next heir to the throne, she did not become pregnant. One day when Dakon and his army were away at war from the Ashanti capital in Kumasi, enemy troops occupied the town. All the royal princesses were killed except Poku, who arranged for the townspeople to escape. Prepared to die at her post if necessary, she was instead taken hostage, and when Dakon returned to his empty capital, he was furious. Dakon appointed a warrior, Tanu, to lead the forces in freeing the royal princess, and following the rescue, Tanu was married to her. This marriage resulted in the birth of a baby boy, ensuring an heir to the Golden Ashanti throne. Eventually, Poku decided to leave Kumasi and found a new kingdom, and invited Ashanti families who also wanted to leave to join her. They headed westward toward Komio River, passing through interminable jungle, where, according to tradition, they fought panthers, giant ants, and giant snakes. Sometimes they crossed savannas filled with belligerent elephants, and serpents seemed always to lie in wait, no matter what the terrain, while illness also dogged their footsteps. After many months, they reached the banks of the Como River. Faced with a raging torrent, with no shallow fords or places for canoes to cross, Poku and her followers decided that the sacrifice must be made to the river spirit. At first, their leader considered sacrificing a sick woman and her baby, but when they were brought to her, Poku declined. She decided that nothing less than her son would please the river spirit and threw her only child into the waters of the Como. It was for this event that the migrating Ashanti became known as the Baule in memory of Poku's son. Nefertiti, whose name means a beautiful woman has come, was the queen of Egypt and wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten from around 1353 to 1336 BC. She and her husband established the cult of Aten, the sun god, and promoted Egyptian artwork that was radically different from its predecessors. A bust of Nefertiti is one of the most iconic symbols of Egypt. Known as the ruler of the Nile and daughter of gods, Nefertiti acquired unprecedented power and is believed to have held equal status to the pharaoh himself. Nefertiti was married to Akhenaten around 1357 BC and was later promoted to be his queen. In the fourth year of Akhenaten's reign, the sun god Aten became the dominant national god. The king led a
The white folks changed their name to Cleopatra because they trying to hide her identity. See, black women, you be getting tricked out of y'all position. The black man is pump and you push. We supposed to be pumping and pushing God's power into this world. That's why a lot of God's enemies came with abortion clinics and pills and sterilization. They made it bad to seem like black people, those in those captive days, as y'all call them slavery days, I call them captive days, that the black community is having too many babies. In the spiritual world, we supposed to, if if we know who we really are. But they tricked us by dividing us.
religious revolution, closing the older temples and promoting Aten's central role. Nefertiti had played a prominent role in the old religion, and this continued in the new system. She worshipped alongside her husband and held the usual kingly position of priest of Aten. By the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, Nefertiti enjoyed unprecedented power, and there is evidence that she may have even been elevated to the status of co-regent, equal in status to the pharaoh himself. She
With the Wells Fargo Active Cash Card,
states that existed throughout African history, but perhaps the most noteworthy in the ancient world.
This where I think the black community 2.0 need to be at. and Kush to rise up again. The kingdom of Kush. Because over in the United States, it ain't gonna happen. This is our home. We trying to build something that's for Babylon. We trying to build a black community that's in Babylon territory. The Sudan Desert is our home. That's what I believe.
Was the kingdom of Kush. Kush was well known for its military strength, and the Egyptians even praised them for their skilled archers. Given this history, let's take a look at the history of the Kushites and assess just how powerful they really were. What up, African world? It's Home Samir, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you'd like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. To begin, the term Nubia is just a general place name for the ancient region just south of Egypt. There were many groups of Africans living in that region who formed their own kingdoms and principalities. The Kushites, as we understand them today, became popular as they began making a name for themselves because of the consistent threat they posed to Egypt. Make no mistake about it, the reason the Egyptians at times spoke harshly about Kush was because the Kushites were their equals. If we take the entire history of interaction between Egypt and Kush, we will see that both groups of Africans.
I wonder what era that Egypt was talking shit about Kush. Like, 'cause, you know, Egypt got conquered over so many times by different types of ethnic groups. That's how a lot of those you see a lot of light pictures. Them ain't white people. Those they was part of Africa too, but somewhere else. But they was Middle Eastern people. They weren't even white. But Egypt and Kush did had a beef. But how it all started, they was all the same people.
Held sway over the other at some point in time, and in my opinion, Kush was able to outlast Egypt by maintaining its sovereignty. So one has to ask themselves, just how powerful was Kush?
You heard what he said? He said Kush outlasts Egypt. But they never talked about Kush in the public schools. We learned about Egypt. We also learned about Egypt through the Bible. But Kush, nope. Hell, you even see movies is made after Egypt. But not Kush though. But you about to learn why.
Kush. Before ancient Kush became known as a kingdom, there were several kingdoms before it, like the kingdom of Kerma and even the Sai kingdom. One thing that gave Egypt the early military advantage over the people of Nubia was because they simply unified the region before the Nubians. King Narmer became the first pharaoh of a unified Egypt, thus creating a more centralized culture and civilization. The Nubians, on the other hand, were still dealing with
You hear the key word? Unified. So they was all you might as well say they was all little hoods. One dude just had the unified with the east side, everybody on the east side, and maybe the north, while the west side and the south side, they all by themselves. That's how you might as well put it like that.
With the diversity, and one group couldn't gain a consistent stronghold over the other. But once this happened, the troubles for Egypt began. It would seem as though the Egyptians began to notice that their neighbors to the south were not only becoming more powerful, but forming a new identity, and thus the term Kush began to take form around the Middle Kingdom. This term also happened perhaps because the kingdom of Kerma was gaining more influence and expanding its territory as it conquered the Side Kingdom around the 18th century BC. This is around the time we begin to see the Egyptians more consistently refer to this region as Kush.
Kush is the black community 2.0. The old black community is dead and gone, bro. It's dead and gone. Like it's ain't no restoring it and none of that. Like all them old ways, we gotta get rid of 'em. We can't take old ways into new shit. It ain't gonna work. And if we ever have a black civil war, it should take place in Africa, not the United States, because it'd be for nothing. We still going both sides still gonna lose. But it'll also show that who's really real and who's really ready to die to restore the black community the way it used to be. Well, with Kush and how things was run over there. Changed the name from the black community to the Kush community.
In or around 1575 BC, during the latter part of the 17th dynasty, this kingdom of Kush invaded Egypt and actually came close to destroying it had they decided to stay and occupy, proving to the Egyptians that they were indeed a threat. Egypt eventually quelled this threat and conquered Kush during New Kingdom Egypt. But ironically, the centralizing of the Nubian region by Egypt created an even greater enemy for them down the road. This further unified the people of Nubia culturally and religiously, creating an even stronger Kush. After Egypt's grip on the south was over, the Kushites slowly began gaining more influence.
See, that war unified Kush. It made them stronger. Like, yo, we all in the same territory. Shit. Unified is, man, this shit crazy.
In Upper Egypt. They eventually conquered Egypt under King Pi in 744 BC. One thing I found very interesting about ancient Kush was the little-known naval battle that took place at Thebes as King Pi's navy made their first advance into Egypt. The Kushites delivered to the Egyptians a crushing defeat in naval warfare, one that we don't often highlight at all. They then went sailing northward and they arrived at Thebes. They did exactly as His Majesty had said. They then went.
The story, all the mommy movies, that was the one from when they was in Africa. That was all talking about Kush. They just whiten it out. Thieves, all of that. They had them looking like Egyptians. And there wasn't no Egyptians in the kingdom of Kush. But that's Hollywood for you.
sailing northward on the river, finding that numerous ships had come southward with soldiers, sailors, and troops of every valiant warrior of Lower Egypt, equipped with weapons of warfare to fight against the army of His Majesty. Then a great slaughter was made among them in incalculable numbers. Their army and their ships were captured and brought away as captives to the place where His Majesty was.
Meet the team, all using Chase to keep up with their finances. Smart Bank.
But yeah, man, this thing wild. But yeah, the black community, the Kush community 2.0, Sudan Desert.
His power and capacity. Apparently, they weren't just excellent in capacity. This really revealed the diversity of Kush's power and capacity. Apparently, they weren't just excellent archers, but capable seamen as well, which I find very fascinating. Very few people speak about it in this way, but after this event, Kush clearly became more powerful than Egypt and reigned supreme on the Nile. This can be proven because of how Egypt tried to conquer Kush again after the Kushite dynasty ended in Egypt. Also, all the foreign nations that thought of conquering Egypt did so with relative ease. But with Kush, all foreign nations who attempted failed. Kush became such a military powerhouse that they were even romanticized by the Greeks. I find it interesting that a Greek romance.
You hear that shit? Kush was so powerful that the Roman Greeks romance about him, fantasize about him. That shit crazy. That blew my mind. I'm just now catching that. Like what? But we already know what the Greeks was on. That's where homosexuality originated from.
Novel called The Alexander Romance mentions how the fictional advance into Nubia by Alexander the Great of Macedonia was completely halted by a fabled Kushite queen the Greeks called Candace. The novel proclaims that when the Macedonian attempted to conquer Meroe in 332 BC, the African queen assembled her army strategically, positioning herself to meet him on the battlefield. Her war elephant struck great fear into Alexander's ranks, and after assessing the strength of her armies, Alexander
But just hilarious. But this is what they think about y'all though.
What I mean when the
Facts. That's the realest shit she ever said.
Decided to withdraw and head back into Egypt. This legendary tale epitomizes the psychological impact Kush had on the rest of the ancient world. But historically, Kush legitimately outright repelled or greatly discouraged 3 foreign incursions into its territory. The first time a foreign nation was discouraged from entering Kush was the Assyrians. Even though the Assyrians were eventually able to successfully remove the Kushites from Egypt,
That's where the light skin of Egypt come in at. The Assyrians. When they conquered Egypt, they started mixing with the women. But they also brought some of their people up there too. That's when the light skin, the mixing came in at. And that's where you see all the light figures at. Those are the Assyrians. Egypt was real eye black, like as they say in those ancient times, the land of the burnt faces.
for whatever reason, they didn't seek to take all of Kush, and via hindsight, that was probably one of the smartest things they could have done, given how the Persians fared in Kush. Multiple accounts concerning the relationship between Kush and Persia paints a very complicated story. On one hand, early Persian invasion into Kush is seen by the Persians themselves as successful. They even claim Kush as part of their territory. However, upon further review and consideration from an objective Greek account, the Kushites were not subjugated at all by the Persians. The ruler Cambyses was said to have tried to invade Kush on several occasions and failed miserably. It seemed as though the terrain in Kush caused a lot of trouble for the Persians, and perhaps Kushite resistance married with navigational issues forced Cambyses to back down. All in all, the Persians did not at all have any stronghold in Kush, and the Kushites maintained their independence unlike their Egyptian neighbors. But what really makes Kush the most powerful African kingdom of the ancient world was no doubt their interaction with the Romans. There has been no other monarch in Africa that took on such a great threat in the ancient world, going on to successfully safeguard the integrity of their borders like Queen Amanirenas of Kush. The Romans were arguably the greatest empire the world had ever seen, and was certainly the greatest military force in the ancient world at that time. There have been very few occasions where Rome's ambition was stopped in full, and the kingdom of Kush under Queen Amanirenas was one of them. Queen Amanirenas came to the throne around 20 BC, and under her reign, the Romans were threatening the integrity of her borders. This led to various skirmishes and brief battles lasting about 5 years. The Romans, under Petronius, apparently wanted to tax Nubians living in Egypt, which she naturally opposed. Rome controlled Egypt, and Petronius wanted to challenge Kush and make them a sort of vassal state. Queen Amanirenas initially waged a successful campaign against the Romans in Egypt, even taking the head of a statue in the form of Augustus and burying it under her temple, so her people can symbolically trample over Rome. Petronius, of course, struck back and drove the Kushites southward. 2 years later, Queen Amanirenas is said to have gathered a large Kushite force and prepared to meet the Romans. Apparently, finding difficulty navigating the Nubian terrain, like the Persians, the Romans were stymied and did not engage further south. Thus, a final battle never actually occurred. The Kushite perspective is unclear, as we can't decipher the Nubian Meroitic texts, but it's clear that the Romans did not engage further south, and it seems as though they strategically withdrew. Queen Amanirenas is remembered by the Romans as being brave and blind in one eye due to her literal participation in battle. Under her rule, Kush secured its borders away from Roman ambition. It's really remarkable for any group to withstand.
That's why I say Kush is the black community 2.0, the Kush community. But yeah, just hilarious. Stand up, man. A lot of y'all black women, it's a war on y'all more than us. Y'all got the war on accepting the truth and coming out of your fantasy. And once you coming out of your fantasy, you will see the real enemies. But yeah, I'd like to thank y'all for joining the show. You might watch the back play of it. I'm building my channel slowly but for surely. Yeah. 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 Hold that shit down. It's hilarious. Don't foul out. Don't crash out. I'm out. Out. Out.